Hey guys, so I'm going to do a tutorial for a trim, for the quarantine trim, because I know you are all stuck home and your haircuts are grown out, you probably have some dead ends and you just want to trim them off. So I'm not gonna do anything fancy, just a trim, and then I'm gonna show you how to blow dry it. Now my hair is already dry because I washed it and let it air dry today, but I'm gonna show you how to section it, what brushes to use, and just like what to do and what steps to get it like a nice blowout. So what you're gonna need is a comb and a pair of sharp scissors, the sharpest you can find. Even if they're smaller, that's better if they're sharper, because if they're dull, you're gonna get a really rough looking cut on your ends. A sectioning clip or like a scrunchie, a vent brush of some kind, your blow dryer, and then a round brush. A big one if you have, I would say, hair below your shoulders or you want it straight, and a smaller one if you have hair above your shoulders or you want bend. So that's pretty much it. Now, like I said, my hair is dry and I'm gonna show you on my hair, but you would wanna start with your hair wet at this point. So take a shower, wash your hair, because we're just doing a trim and we're not changing like the shape of your haircut or anything like that. We're not going to need to see where it lays when it's dry. So doing it wet is gonna be okay. And wear a t-shirt or something that you don't care about if you get little hairs on it, because you're gonna, unless you can tie a towel around your neck, but honestly, it's gonna be bulky and it's gonna get in your way. So just wear a t-shirt or something that you don't care about. All right, so to do your quarantine cut, okay. If you wear your hair to both sides, so if you don't have a defined part and you go back and forth, then you're gonna want to cut it to the middle. If you have a specific place that you wear your hair, then part it right there. I'm going to part mine down the middle because I like to go both ways with my hair. It just depends on the day. And I have bangs, so it really kind of like disguises any part line. But go ahead and just part your hair down the middle or wherever you would normally part it. Use your comb, just do a nice clean part, and then follow it all the way down the back. It doesn't need to be exactly perfect, so don't stress yourself out too much. Just kind of even. And then use your brush or your comb and brush this out so that it's pretty smooth. I guess with your hair being wet, it's gonna be easiest to do it with the comb. Okay, so now it's totally smoothed down, separated, and pull it all to the front like this so you can see all of your hair. Okay, now grab your scissors. And here's what you're gonna do. Basically, you are going to take the little tiny ends off of here. I'm also gonna show you how to dust your layers a little bit because I have some layers, so I'll show you how to take the dead ends off. But this is the thing that you have to remember. Where your face is positioned and your neck when you're cutting is going to affect how and where your hair falls down here. So if you start cutting into this and your head is tilted like this so you can see, then when you let it go and you put your head straight back up, you're going to have an uneven line. And the same thing if your face is like turned or straight. So you wanna make sure that you keep your face straight and your chin and neck straight. I have to readjust my client's head all the time when I'm cutting their hair because when I'm standing behind them, I put their head down because it creates an angle and it graduates the bottom of their haircut. I put their head down and then I make one snip and they put their head up. And I have to go all the way across, the perimeter of their haircut. So I'm constantly taking my hand and I'm even telling little kids, like, look at your toes. So we're not gonna do that today because you don't need to worry about graduating the bottom of your haircut. But just remember that whatever position you are cutting in, you want your neck to be straight and you want your face to be looking forward. And so it's gonna be even on both sides. You wanna keep it consistent. So you wanna be sitting in front of a mirror. There's a mirror behind here, so I'm gonna be looking in the mirror. Okay, so what you're gonna do is basically take this side and take your comb and comb it all smooth forward like this, and then take it in your fingers, readjust your head, hold your shoulders up straight, and come all the way down like this, and decide what you want to take off. Make sure that you're holding it close to your body and that your neck is straight and your head is straight, chin looking forward. Okay, now I'm just gonna get closer so you can see. Like, let's say I wanted to take off these little dead ends. Then you wanna take your scissors at an angle like this. If you take your scissors and chop straight across like that, you're gonna have a pretty blunt line. And maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want it to look nice and fresh. But I think for the sake of doing it yourself, you want this to be soft and kind of like foolproof. So I would go at it at an angle. So you're gonna hold your scissors like at this 45-degree angle. And I don't really need a haircut, but I'll just kind of show you. Just trim into your little ends like this. Now I'm doing this close to the camera, but what you would want to do is make sure that you're sitting straight and you're holding this against your body. The reason that you're holding this against your body as close as possible is just so that your positioning is the same on both sides. There's no way that you yourself are going to be able to do one side and then mimic that on the other. So the only way you can really ensure that is if you have your head and your neck and your chin straight and square and you hold it against your body. Then at least you know that your positioning is the same for both sides. So you're gonna do the same thing on this side. You're gonna just comb this. Now, if you have super thick hair, as you can see, I do not have super thick hair. So especially because my hair is layered down on my ends here are pretty thin. So there's really only a little bit of hair that I have to worry about. See, if I was cutting that, it's not a lot. Some people are gonna have much, much thicker hair, especially those who don't have layers. So what you can do to avoid the hair getting all bunched up under your fingers and getting like a really kind of sloppy look is you can cut the hair against the comb. Meaning you would comb this down and you would hold it to your body, make sure your chin is straight, and then you can take your scissors this way and you would cut along your comb. What's gonna happen when you do that as opposed to doing this is the tension. The tension of your fingers squeezing all your hair together and pulling it straight down means that when you let it go, it's gonna go like that. Which is okay because it's gonna look a little more soft, but if you hold the comb, there's no tension, see, because the comb it's just keeping it all guided in the same place, but it's not like the tension of your fingers pulling it. So you can do it that way too, just make sure that, but right before you cut, your face is straight, your neck is straight, and then cut along your comb. Now, make sure that both sides are even. And then if you have someone who can help you, then you're gonna take all your hair and put it to the back like this and have them comb it straight. And in the middle, right here, there may be a little spot where they're not exactly the same length. So what you would wanna have them do is just match that together. So if there's like a little point, the reason for that is because you over-directed this hair the farthest. So when you bring it to the back, you just wanna make sure that they're a straight line. So just have them comb it down and snip that off or put it in their fingers, just so that the line in the back is straight. But if you're not too worried about it or you don't have someone around to help you do that, that's okay too, because I've cut my hair a million times this way and it's never like a big drop in the back. It's super subtle, and maybe they can just check that for you. Okay, so that's it. So you basically just took off a little bit of length. Now, if you have some layers or you have some face frame and you wanna just take some of the dead ends off because it's feeling a little bit fried, this is what you're gonna do. I'm just gonna try to keep this very simple. You are going to pretty much separate your hair from like when your hairline takes a turn, you know, kind of at your temples. And just kind of section this hair in the crown up. And you're gonna comb it straight up like this. Sorry, my ring is slipping. Okay, you're gonna comb it straight up like this. And now I have to lean back a little bit so you can see. This is gonna be your top layer. So these ends are what you're gonna wanna take off. Now actually I could afford to take some of these off because see how they're kind of straggly? So you're gonna comb it straight up, this whole crown top section in your fingers, take it all the way up. You have to hold your fingers really tight or the hair is gonna slip out. And go all the way up to the top like that. And see where your ends are? And then again, put your comb down, and then you're gonna take your scissors, and don't go at a straight line because then you're gonna see it, but if you want it to be soft, just kind of take where the little dead pieces are, just kind of cut into it, very, very gentle. Take the little dead ends. I think you can see that. Just take your little dead ends off. Okay? See how much better that looks? And then let it go. So it should just kind of blend back in with your haircut. Now, that took care of your top layer. Now you gotta kind of do this in-between part. So section it back to your part. Mine's in the middle part. Section yours to wherever you're wearing your parting or cutting it to. And then kind of come like here, eyeball height, take your finger and drag it back like this, and then take your part in the back and go down until your fingers meet. So you're kind of taking this panel. So you're gonna take half of the part that you had just trimmed, and in addition, this kind of section. So you've got this section in your hands, okay? Can't really see. So it's from the middle part and kind of here. And do the same thing. Just comb it straight up. Now by combing it straight up, it's layers, technically, but you're also making it the softest because then when you let it back down, there's not gonna be any hard lines. So pull your fingers in your comb together nice and tight all the way up to the ends until you've got this tight in your fingers. Then you can put your comb down and then just take your scissors and just trim the little ends. Just whatever you see that's dead, just kind of very, very, very subtle. This is just a maintenance cut. This is like a dusting. We call it a whisper. I used to call it a whisper when my clients didn't really want to lose any hair, but they wanted their ends to feel good. Okay, and then just kind of drop it back down. Okay, now I'm gonna do the other side. So right about at my eye, right here, connect it back to my fingers right here. So we're taking this whole panel inside over here, and you're gonna comb it straight up in your fingers and your comb nice and tight till you get all the way up to your little ends. And then you're just gonna dust these little ends. Now, a trick to this that hairdressers do so we don't cut ourselves is two things. Only cut between like the end of your finger and your knuckle. if you start trying to cut like back into here, you may cut yourself, and this is really fleshy. So there's a lot of more tension between these fingers. So if you can keep it kind of in between the knuckle. But the other thing is, instead of taking your scissors and cutting in to your fingers, which is there's a very good chance you're gonna cut yourself, put your scissors against the hair and then cut on the way out. So that's what we do when we do this kind of stuff. When we softly cut on your way out, okay? Instead of on your way in, because then you're gonna cut your finger. Okay, so there we go. So we took off a little bit off the length, right? And we took a little bit off the top layer and a little bit off through here, just the dead ends. And the other thing you can check is your angles. So just kind of comb your hair forward. And if you need to, you want to be very gentle in this area, because all of this hairline and all of that customized area can really get messed up through here. You don't want to cut a hole in your haircut. So if anything, if you're going to check your angles, just be very, very sparing and just come all the way to the ends. And if you need to, you can take just a couple of these little tiny ends off. But in this area, you need to be extremely cautious. I mean, extremely cautious, because it's very easy. Even hairdressers who are certified cosmetologists make mistakes in this area. So just be very careful if you're gonna do that. Just take the tiniest little bit off, but just kind of comb it towards the middle of your face if you're going to, and just check it. I actually am taking a little off mine because even though I haven't been using heat much through this quarantine, my ends still get a little bit dry. You just take a tiny little bit. Okay. So we did the layers, we did the angles, and we did the length. So now your hair is wet, your ends should feel much better. And I'm going to show you how to do a nice blow dry. So now would be the point where you're gonna put in your product. You're going to put in a heat protectant for sure, because you're about to use a very hot blow dryer, and maybe a primer, like something, or a smoothing cream. Maybe layer your products, couple products. Now is when you're gonna put them in. Generally kind of work them down through your ends first, like this. And if it's a heat protectant, maybe focus it around your more delicate places, like the top of your hair. This crown part of your hair and these ends see the sun, the wind. When your car windows are down, they get the most styling because it's the most visible hair. So definitely focus your heat protectant up here, and then on these little baby hairs around your face. Okay, now you've got your heat protectant and your products in. And now you are going to take your vent brush and you're going to rough dry your hair. I cannot stress how important this is. You don't want to go from soaking wet hair to a round brush. A round brush is not designed for wet hair. It's designed for almost dry hair, and the whatever your choice is. So if it's like ceramic, or the inside of the round brush is going to heat up, and on one side you have the nozzle of the blow dryer, and on the other side you have the hot brush, and you are smoothing and shining dry hair. If you try to take wet hair and put it in a brush, the bristles are gonna snag it because they're not designed for wet hair, and it's gonna take you forever. So you're going to constantly be going over it, and you're never going to get every little inch of the hair. And then by the time you get to your last section, like, you're sweating, and it's just not good. So your hair is wet, and you're gonna take your vent brush and your blow dryer, and you are going to blow dry everything forward towards your face, whether you have bangs or not. Now, I have bangs, so of course I would blow dry this forward. But even if you don't have bangs, you're gonna blow dry your hair forward as far back as you possibly can. Like, don't be afraid, like this. Now, the reason for doing this is because you're over directing and you're creating memory with every hair coming forward. So then when you style it back, it has the shape that everyone is kind of into right now. So the vent brush is also very important because the air passes through it. When you put your blow dryer to the brush, the air passes through, see? So it's going to dry the hair faster. This is separating your hair. The air is passing through. It has very little tension, but it's just going to allow the hair to dry faster. If you have a solid paddle brush, but it looks like this, and you're doing this, you're gonna burn your hair because this is way too hot to put up against something that doesn't allow the heat through. And it's also very important that you have this on your blow dryer, the concentrator. If you are taking these extremely hot metal coils and getting them anywhere near your hair, you're gonna burn your hair. So this keeps your airstream concentrated. It's still very hot, so be very careful. But your hair is not gonna touch those coils. So you have to have a concentrator. If you don't have one for your blow dryer, you can go on Amazon and you can get a universal concentrator or try to find the one that goes with your blow dryer. So get that. You got your vent brush, not a paddle brush, unless you're just brushing the hair like this and then blow drying it, that's fine, but not like this, because then you're gonna burn your hair. So vent brush. And I'm not gonna turn my blow dryer on and do it because it would take too long, but you are going to do one of these. You are going to lift and separate all of your hair. You can flip your head over at this point, and you're going to rough dry 95% of the moisture out of your hair. You want your hair to almost look like it was dry, okay? And the reason for that is because when you introduce the round brush, all you're doing is smoothing, and there is tension with a round brush because when you turn it in your hair and pull, that's how you're getting shine, you're getting smoothness, you're getting straightness, and you're taking the hair from 95% dry to like 110% dry because that's how a good blow dry will last. If there's any moisture left in the hair, especially around these roots or like up in here, the blow dry is not gonna last because it's gonna get frizzy. So you wanna make sure that you take your vent brush and go forward with everything until it's like 90, I would say 99% dry because my 95% dry is your 99. Everyone's always gonna stop too soon. Always stop too soon. You can smooth out completely bone dry hair with a round brush and a blow dryer. So don't worry about your hair getting too dry. Worry about it being too wet, because if it's too wet, then your blow dry style is not gonna last. So take your round brush, you're gonna brush through everything, you're gonna come totally forward, all around your hairline. You're gonna bring this all totally forward, okay? And you're gonna direct your nozzle down. So forward, 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 just brush through all of this, get it totally dry, and it's, let's call it 99% dry. Okay, now your hair, you can comb it back, and we're gonna section it out so that you can smooth it with the round brush. So now you're going to take your clip or your scrunchie, and depending on how much hair you have or what kind of haircut or your thickness, this is gonna vary person to person. Some people only need to separate up half of their hair at this point. Some people need to do this in like 4 sections. It all depends on how much hair you have, and you have to be able to get your round brush all the way up to your scalp, and the section of hair that's going over it has to be get completely dry within like 2 or 3 passes of the blow dryer. If that's not happening, then you have to have a smaller section. So I'm just gonna do 3 sections for the sake of calling it like middle of the road. So I'm gonna go like under my ears and just kind of section out this bottom nape area and clip the rest of this out of the way. And then feel your hair back here. Like it should be decently dry. If you're putting your hand right here and it's soaking wet, then just take your blow dryer without the round brush, either with your vent brush or your hand, and just fluff this. Because a lot of people have curl pattern in here that's what they're really trying to blow out. So it's not gonna happen if it's wet. You want it to be super, almost dry. So just take your blow dryer and just kind of fluff that moisture out. And then you're gonna take your round brush and you're gonna tuck it up underneath your hair, and you're gonna take your blow dryer and you're gonna pass it down the hair like that, all the way down. And you can spin it at the end if you want a little bit of bend. Don't worry about doing all this. Don't do that. It might get stuck in your hair. Don't get fancy. We can do that at the salon, but there's enough tension in taking your round brush and tucking it up there nice and tight and using this to pull and dry. So you're gonna pass over that hair maybe like 2 or 3 times. What you're looking for is 100% dry, shiny hair. If that's not happening after like 2 or 3 passes and spins, your hair was too wet to start with. So go back, put the round brush down, fluff it drier, and then pick it back up in a few minutes and pass over it a couple of times, okay? So then you're gonna go to your next section. And this is gonna start to include around your face. So just clip this rest of it out of the way. And again, check and make sure that this is not like damp, and it should feel almost dry, but there's still gonna be like frizz and stuff that you need to work through with the blow dryer. So you're gonna take your round brush up, tuck it nice up in there next to your head, and get your blow dryer up in there. Don't burn yourself. So guide your air. Pretend you can see the air coming down. Don't guide it in at your head because you're gonna burn yourself. Guide it down, okay? So you're gonna tuck your round brush up in there, guide your air down, and pass over this. Spin if you can, if you wanna get fancy. And do it a couple times, you know, maybe 3 times. And it should be dry, and it should be shiny and smooth and the way you want it. If after a couple, 2, 3, 4 times that you've passed this over, it's not 1000% bone dry and shiny, then it was too wet to start with, so go back. So then you're gonna go around your head, you're gonna do the same thing over here. Okay, so now this is all dry, right? And it's all flippy and shiny and beautiful. Now to get volume at the top, we are gonna kind of subdivide this section. I'm not gonna include a bang tutorial because I'm gonna assume that if you have bangs, you have kind of perfected the way that you're gonna style them. But here's the way to subsection this top. You are going to go across like this and take a thin subsection of the top, okay? So now clip this out of the way. So here's the section from the top, and it's all the way in the back. Now, most people like to have a little bit of volume in their crown right here. So how are you gonna do that? You are going to dry it over directed forward, because then when you wear it back, it's got a little volume. So you're gonna take your round brush and tuck it up in there, and you're gonna come forward, okay? From where the hair grows, see where my round brush position is, and you're going, if you really want to, you can take the nozzle of the blow dryer, and you've probably seen your hairstylist do this, blow that hair forward like that. It's gonna give you even more volume because you're using the heat to activate your products and to give your hair memory going forward. But you are going to blow dry it straight up, okay, to give you volume, but you wanna come forward, okay? So this is why it's very important that this hair is very dry already, because right now you're just creating shape, memory, bounce, volume, shine, and you're getting rid of frizz. You're not necessarily like drying the hair. If you try to do this with soaking wet hair, it's never gonna work. It's gonna take forever. So you're gonna move section by section through this crown, okay? You're gonna take your next section and clip this out of the way and do the same thing. Okay, you're gonna come forward like this and use your blow dryer forward. Okay, all the way. And the other very important thing is to get all the way to the ends. If you're only coming like halfway and then you're dropping off, then these ends are gonna be frizzy. So you need to wrap your hair around the round brush. See how I have a good grip on it? I have tension. Then you're gonna come and you're gonna take all the way through to the ends like this, because you need the heat to smooth those ends. Okay, so then you're gonna get to the last section, you're gonna blow dry it forward. Okay, so now you just blow dried your hair and it's still hot. To lock in your style, you are going to adjust your blow dryer to cool, okay? You're gonna adjust it to cool, and then you're gonna blow dry over all of your hair. And what this is going to do is it's going to set the style. So because it was super dry when you use the round brush, the vent brush, then when you use the round brush, you smoothed out frizz, you created shine, you got bend, you got volume, you shaped your hair the way you want. Now you've got it looking the way you want, there's no moisture left in it, you wanna lock it in. So you're gonna put it on cool and you're gonna blow dry through and make sure you get all of it. That's gonna make it shinier, it's gonna smooth the cuticle down, and it's gonna lock in your style, okay? So do that. Use your cool shot. It's gonna feel good because you're probably gonna be hot. You're gonna use your cool shot and blow dry through all of your hair, okay? And then you're gonna take, and however you have it styled, the way that you like it, take a very soft finishing spray and spray over the whole thing. Spray it on your hands if you want to and drag it on your ends, but that's also gonna lock in the work that you just did. So between layering your products, using the blow dryer and the two different styles of brushes, using the cool shot, and then a quick finishing spray. I don't mean like douse it, I just mean give it a good spray, get your ends, and then kind of position it the way you want it. That's gonna lock in the blow dry. So hopefully it will last like 2 or 3 days, and then you only have to do it periodically. Couldn't think of the word. Okay, so there's your quarantine cut and your fancy blow dry. I hope that helps, and good luck. See you soon.